Hello. So let's talk about the penultimate episode of House of the Dragon Season 2, entitled The Red Sowing. So, as per usual, there will be spoilers for the episode itself and Fire and Blood, the book that House of the Dragon is based off of. I'm also going to talk about some things from the next time on House of the Dragon trailer that they do towards the end of the episode. So there might be spoilers for the upcoming season finale. This is a very Team Black centric episode. If that's the faction that you claim, I can tell you that this will probably end up as one of your favorite episodes from this season. Given that they get most of the focus in this episode, I'm going to kind of front load this video talking about them and then talk about Team Green towards the latter portion of this video. Okay, so Rhaenyra goes to meet with Adam, and Adam quickly earns himself a place in Rhaenyra's service when he tells her that Sea Smoke chose him to be his rider. Rhaenyra is thrilled by this, thinking that it must mean something or be a sign from the gods. Throughout this episode, we do get some mentions from Rhaenyra about things being destiny or ordained by the gods or whatever. I thought that was interesting. I think Emma Darcy and Ryan Condal had some interviews talking about that element of the episode. I'm not sure. I think they do. So Rhaenyra meets with Mysaria, and they talk about how the Targaryens probably have a whole bunch of these foreign relatives since, they are the nobility, and the nobility, they kind of get up to some things. To catch my drift, Mysaria asks if she can search these people out, and that maybe they will have more success in fighting dragon riders if they expand their pool of candidates. Rhaenyra agrees to this. She has a line about raising an army of bastards, which I think was meant to be mildly tongue-in-cheek on Rhaenyra's part. So Jace finds out and confronts Rhaenyra about this. I like how they explored the chip on Jace's shoulder, re his own parentage. Jace feels insecure, given that he looks exactly like Harlan Strong, and nothing like a Valyrian dragon lord is technically supposed to look. To him, riding a dragon symbolizes both political and personal legitimacy. If anyone, like a lowborn bastard for example, can claim a dragon, what makes him stand out? How will he prove to the realm that he is meant to be a ruler when he takes over from Rhaenyra in the future? I think the mild classism is meant to be an example of Jace kind of lashing out. He does call the dragon seeds mongrels. It reminds me a lot of in A Game of Thrones, where Jon Snow goes too hard on some of his fellow Night's Watch recruits during their fighting practice. So being insecure in the world kind of, like I said, it leads him to lashing out and focusing on what makes them special. For Jace, it's just dragon. For Jon Snow, it's his highborn education. Um, that was very interesting. Jace also points out how they don't know these people at all, and about how they don't have historical alliances and family histories to keep them in line like they do if they were seeking out people of noble birth. Like, for example, what if one of them decides to try to defend for themselves? What's to stop them? Like I said, this is a really interesting scene for Jace. I really felt for him when he's telling Rhaenyra not to do it. And he's like, don't take this from me. This being the fact that he is a special Targaryen dragon rider. Um, I also found it interesting that Jace might not trust Mysaria. He does ask his mom if Mysaria is the one who suggested seeking out bastards. Jace is not a dumb kid, so this does make me wonder if maybe he is onto something here. Corlys does go talk to Adam. This was an interesting scene. There's a slight awkwardness between the two. The conversation was pretty quick. Adam asks Corlys for his permission to leave his current role in the Velaryon fleet. He does get his permission, and Corlys tells him, well done, on cleaning sea smoke. I really felt for both Adam and Corlys here. Adam seemed like he was hoping from more from his dad, and Corlys was not entirely sure what to say to Adam. And we also see Corliss talk to Alan. I kind of like how it seemed like they had like the matching fodder sun outfits. I thought that was really fun. They talk about how Adam has claimed a dragon. Corliss isn't sure if it comes from Adam's mom's side of their family or maybe his. I thought that was interesting because the Velaryons, the Targaryens, they do intermarry a lot. And I think, given that fact, in theory, even if a Velaryon doesn't have a Targaryen parent, they might be able to claim a dragon. At least from my understanding, anyway. I could be wrong. Um, Alan talks about how Adam has always wanted to prove his worth, but Alan himself, he has always been good with deceit and salt. If y'all remember Corliss and Baela's conversation from a few episodes ago, where Baela says the Driftmark must pass the sea and salt, it sticks out. I think this is meant to kick off Corliss asking Rhaenyra to legitimize the Hallbreaders. So, back at King's Landing, the small folk find posters that Massaria and Rhaenyra sent out asking for dragon riders. We see Ulf's drinking buddies tell him about this, and they try to convince him to go give it a whirl. He admits to not being truly sure if he's the son of Balon the Brave, but after some peer pressure from his drinking buddies, he does ultimately decide to go try. We also check in on Hugh Hammer. We see him telling his wife that his mom was a disinherited Targaryen princess who found work as a sex worker. This jumped out at me for a few reasons. So, in Fire and Blood, Rhaenyra's great-grandfather Jaehaerys, he had 13 kids, including her grandpa Balon, who is the father of Viserys and Damon. Another one of Jaehaerys' more notable children was his daughter Sarah. The too long don't read version of events is that Sarah gets into some shenanigans and is going to be sent away to the Silent Sisters as a punishment. Instead, she decides to run away to Essos, where she becomes a sex worker and eventually rises up the ranks and becomes a madam. Now, if Sarah is Hugh's mom, then she must have stayed in Westeros in this version of the story, or she may have come back from Essos. I don't know. There are two other daughters of Jaehaerys who are potential candidates, but given the sex worker element of Hugh's mom's backstory, it reminds me the most of Sarah. I need to reread Fire and Blood, but I think this is the first time an explanation of Hugh Hammer's background has been given. In addition to the interesting lore drop, this scene provided a lot of emotion for the viewers, I think. We learned that Hugh and his wife have lost their daughter. I think this is the first time that we learned. I don't know if she died last episode. I don't remember. Anyway, this is the first time I remember hearing about that. Hugh feels like he has failed to protect his family, and he hopes that if he can claim a dragon, he will be able to protect his wife. I thought it was, like I said, very emotional. So all the dragon seeds assemble on Dragonstone. The dragon keepers are not too enthused about letting lowborn commoners try to claim dragons. The scene sticks out to me because it further explores the whole dragons are gods idea that the show has mentioned a few times this season. Ultimately, they tell Rhaenyra, we'll leave you to it, but we want nothing to do with it. I really liked Rhaenyra's speech to the dragon seeds. She comes off as very commanding here, and Emma Darcy has a very strong presence that helps sell it. The writers do a good job showing how she knows she's asking people to do something very risky. I like how they played around with the Dragon Seed plotline a bit in the show. In the books, as far as we know, Jace was not opposed to having baseborn Targaryen slash Velaryon relatives try to claim dragons, and he may have been the one to suggest seeking them out. But in the show, he solely wants highborn people with legitimate parentage to try to claim dragons. And it is Rhaenyra who decides to give non-nobles a shot. I think that this highlights the more reckless, risk-taking side of her personality. So this idea can backfire in several ways, as Jace points out. But if this works, the Team Black can easily take on Team Green, even if Team Green has like huge dragons like Aegon. So speaking of Jace, I like how she is so willing to keep on this path, even if it hurts Jace, because he feels like it's making him, like it's taking away something that makes him special. It shows how she is very committed to the war and committed to winning it. I also really liked the look that she gave Damon when he flew by Dragonstone to try to scope out what was going on. The writers did a good job adding some edge and ambiguity to Rhaenyra in this episode. Well done. So this is called the Red Sowing for a reason. So as we saw, the Sir Stefan trying to claim a dragon can result in your death, and Rhaenyra does tell the potential dragon riders this. We see several people die in the attempt to claim Vermifor. So Hugh managed to survive the chaos and is able to claim Vermifor. I kind of dug his Lieutenant Dan energy when he thought he was about to be burned. He was all like, just do it. It was fun. I liked it. So Ulf manages to run away from all the chaos and he makes his way through the kind of like dragon pits that they have set up. He runs into Silverwing and is chosen to be her rider. We get to see them take a flight. This scene kind of reminded me of like the broom flying scenes from Harry Potter for some reason. I don't know why, but I really liked it. It was Ulf Dwight's actor. Had a really good like kind of comedic facial expression, so that kind of added to it. It was a really good scene. Okay, so speaking of dragons, we see Raina decide to stay in the Vale instead of going to Penthouse with Joffrey, Aegon the Younger, and Viserys. I think we'll see her claim the Wild Dragon in the next episode. So I'm not sure how I feel about the writers potentially merging Raina and Nettles. I do think this will be a powerful and emotional moment for Raina that I am excited to see. I do think it will be fun to watch. She's always wanted a dragon of her own, and seeing her finally get one, I think will be it'll feel very validating for her. I think, assuming that they do have her claim the dragon. Alright. So, now that we talked about Dragonstone and Driftmark, let's talk about Damon and Harrenhal. So he sees Viserys again, but this time Viserys is close to the end of his life, and he tells Damon that he never wanted a crown, and he offers it to Damon. It doesn't look like Damon takes it like it kind of cuts off from him correctly. Damon is then called to go meet the River Lords and their new Lord Paramount, Oscar Tully. So Oscar is young, and he's worried about people listening to him. Damon and him talk to the River Lords, and they discuss how they dislike Damon, even if they are willing to follow Rhaenyra. One reason they are upset is that the actions that Damon allowed House Blackwood to take against House Bracken. Lord Oscar agrees that Lord Willem Blackwood, who is the one in charge of the Blackwood family, must answer for what he has done. He kind of turns dispensing justice into a test for Damon, who does ultimately end up beheading Lord Willem. Oscar reminded me a lot of Robb Stark, and it's not just because, Robb does have that Tully ancestry through Catelyn. It was his desire to do right by his people and his ability to take command despite his youth. This made him very compelling to watch in the short amount of time he had in this episode. Seeing Damon decide to follow Oscar's lead was also very interesting to me. This could be him turning a new leaf, or it could be him disposing of a now useless asset, because I don't think the River Lords would have been cool with Willem Bracken running around. No, not Willem Bracken. Blackwood, sorry. Yeah, they wouldn't have been cool with Willem Blackwood running around. Alrighty, so now that we've covered everything Team Black that I can think of, now on to Team Green. We see Aegon try to walk. So in the books, one of his redeeming qualities was that he was very resilient. So I liked seeing this on the show. Larys encouraged him to try harder, which Master Orwell isn't entirely sure about. Larys is very interesting in this episode. Okay, so he learns from Jasper Wild, who's on a small council, that Team Black has a new dragon rider, so Adam. Larys talks him into not telling Aemon about this. I thought this was very interesting. The writers are doing a really good job at making Larys mysterious, and I'm intrigued to find out what his true motives are. Like, why isn't he telling Aemon? We also see Allison getting treated for a wound she received during last episode's food riots. She tells the Maester about how she feels like her efforts to serve her house and the realm have been for naught. And then she asks Sir Rickard Thorne to accompany her into the Kingswood for like a camping trip. I smiled a bit when she told Sir Rickard that she might not return to the city. Is this the start of Alison's cottagecore era? Anyway, we get to see her take a swim. We see her at the lake in several of the trailers that HBO did for season 2, so I kind of knew she was going to have like her little Ophelia moment in the water. Olivia Cook looked great, and the cinematography was gorgeous during her swim. But I must admit, it kind of felt like I think the writers are a bit of a loss what to do with Alicent sometimes. In Fire and Blood, most of her big moments are like before the dance. So in season one, like if you're reading the book, that's where like a lot of like her major scenes are. During the dance itself, like her two kind of big plot lines are caring for her grandchildren, post Blood and Cheese, since Helena is out of commission and Aegon is, doing Aegon things. And she also gets arrested when Rhaenyra takes King's Landing. So there's not a lot of material to work with in terms of like big character moments for her post the dance kicking off. Okay, so let's move on to Aemon. So his big season episode are when he decides to send some people up north to the Night's Watch, and then when he follows, I think Silverwing, when he was flying through the city, he goes to get Vhagar, and as he's following Silverwing, he sees Rhaenyra with her newly minted dragons and the riders. I normally don't pay the next time on House of the Dragon trailer too much attention, but I did find it interesting that apparently he is considering sending Helena on her Dragon King fire. I'm curious about this because in Fire and Blood, Helena does not ride Dream Fire after the death of her son. She seems to be coping better in this version of events. Um, so I was wondering if she would agree to it. Um, we also see a confrontation between Eamon and Allison that I'm looking forward to. I know um, that there were the leaks for the finale. Um, so I don't know. Like I know like they're just clips. So like I don't know exactly what they are going to do with Helena. I guess we'll find out later this week. So as previously stated, if you're a Team Black fan, this episode is for you. They're really the standouts here. So this is kind of where I admit I do slightly lean Team Green simply for the fact that I find them very interesting. However, I do think this episode explores Rhaenyra's character in a really fun way. We see how her decision to have children with power and strong impacts said children, and how her willingness to buck tradition can upset important people that she is on her side. Like, for example, this episode, the Dragon Keepers. However, we also see her showing an ability to kind of like motivate people. Um, the scene with the dragon seeds trying to find dragons, it's a really good action scene. I would give this episode an 8. Like I was saying, they did a lot of interesting character work with Team Black. They added a lot to Rhaenyra's character and Jace's character. They kind of like explored the various flaws, and I think that that's something that I really like when A Song of Ice and Fire does. It's like they delve into their characters' flaws. Like all characters have them, even protagonists like Team Black, and like it's it makes them so that they're not just like straight up generic good guys. I think, and that's something that I feel like some people have complained about for this season that they haven't really allowed Rhaenyra to be sort of edgy, but they allow Team Green to be all sorts of messy, and then there's Damon, who's Damon. So I feel like this episode kind of corrects some of those complaints. Overall, I would give this episode an 8. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all next time when we talk about the finale. Bye.